What's good, y'all, man? It is your boy, Sniper Kicks. I have a treat for you guys. I am interviewing one of my guys, Noah. So, a little bit of background on Noah. Noah is the head x ray tech of his company, but he has a passion for sneakers. So, he's been able to work with me and he has completely scaled his business to the next level going into Q4. So you're really going to enjoy this interview even if you're busy. There is a lot of money with sneaker reselling. Make sure you stay until the end because this is a dope video. And if you want more information on how to actually grow a sneaker reselling business, make sure you hit the link in the description section. I have a free live training where you can learn how to be able to implement these steps and move forward. Let's go.
There we go. We're good to go. What's
Uh,
good, Noah? How's everything going, brother?
Good, doing well. How about you, bro? How's your day going?
Doing well, doing well. Super excited to get on this call and let the viewers
Likewise.
see. Because again, no, extremely proud of you because your progression from where you first started to where you're at today, it's a complete 180.
Oh
Taking
yeah.
the instructions, being able to start, creating clients, getting sneakers, and it's been a snowball effect. But for the viewers, Noah, again, you have a almost a unique background for somebody that would pick up sneaker reselling, you being a nurse. So tell everybody, number one, what were you doing before sneaker reselling? And give us some context why you wanted to get into sneaker reselling. You having a good job as well, being an RN or above a RN, a registered nurse.
Yeah, so I'm actually an X-ray tech,
Okay.
but I am the chief X-ray tech for my company. I have about 30 techs under me, so I'm in charge of, making sure they're doing what they got to do on a daily basis. Obviously the schedule, stuff like that. Um, and I actually have been into sneakers since I was very young. It's something that I'd say my dad put me onto because ever since I was a little kid, he would always get me whatever kicks were hot.
Yes.
So, I kind of developed that love for them very early on. Maybe, he was getting them for me as young as like 3, but I remember really getting having like a passion for them starting around like 10 years old around that and like learning what all the kicks are and everything and
Yeah.
you know knowing the drop dates and all that kind of stuff. So when I got a little bit older, like maybe 17, when I was old enough to like that I had a job and everything, I was able to make my own money. That's when I started like really paying attention to it. And when the release dates were coming up, I would get whatever kicks I wanted if I had enough money, obviously. Um, and so around that time, I started, flipping kicks, but not really as like a business per se,
Yeah.
but just as a hobby. Like, oh, I don't have enough for these kicks, but I have these kicks here that I can flip and then, put money on top and buy these. So that type of thing. So that's what I would do back then. And I actually decided to turn it into a business after watching one of your videos and seeing how you utilized bulk buying to scale it. And
Yeah.
so I was at the time I was kind of trying to think of what I could do as a side hustle, and when I saw that video, it just happened that I kind of stumbled like upon that video because I was watching one of your reviews,
Yeah.
or I don't remember what it was, but something that was coming out, and I just decided to go into it because I thought from a logistical standpoint that it makes so much sense. So when you buy in bulk, you're getting like more obviously more pairs, so it's not just selling one pair that you may make 10, 20 bucks on. You're buying, let's say, 5, 10, 15, 20 plus pairs,
Yeah.
so that $5, $10 turns to 50, 100, 150 plus,
Yeah.
depending on how many pairs you buy and how lucrative the pairs are. So I really have been utilizing the market, StockX, and everything like that. Well, Alias, to
Yeah.
see what really is selling and what my profit margins are. And if
Yeah.
I'm able to get kicks for a good enough deal that I'm able to flip them for enough profit, then I do, especially in bulk.
Yeah.
If if it's a pair, like I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, so like the fives, the fire red fives that came out.
Yeah.
Since I got the early pairs, I was selling them for like 300 bucks.
Yeah.
Obviously now, they're going for
Yeah.
retail or under
Right.
retail, but
Yeah.
early is key.
Early
getting
is
those
key.
early pair outs. I mean, those early pairs out really makes a difference.
So yeah, you hit it right on the nail right there, Noah, with the early pairs. Because with early pairs, again, it's just supply and demand. When you get something early, there's less supply. So guess what? The demand is there. Therefore, the price goes up. Therefore, you're able to make more money. Especially in today's market, you gotta be creative. If you're just waiting on release day for everything, you're gonna have a hard time making a lot of money unless you get it for way below retail where you're able to sell. But most people just move on to the next release, after release day. So for you, Noah, I know you started off kind of, doing it, self-pacing, but then
Mhm.
you have the opportunity to work with me directly, and we really started to steamroll this, where you're starting to build a book of business, you're starting to really get it to the next level. So kind of give me your experience, being able to work with me and my team directly, and kind of your progression, your momentum, and really treating this like a business, like you kind of spoke about, earlier.
Yeah, definitely. So working with you and the team has honestly been a blessing. If it weren't for you guys, I wouldn't have the success that I have now. Um, all the little tips that I learned from the university, you guys are helping me apply even more so,
Yeah.
and keeping me accountable. So
Yes, it's huge.
my weekly calls or texts, messages, whatever, with you guys, it really makes a difference because it's one of the things that's keeping me accountable. Another thing is that I wouldn't have access to a lot of the kicks that I'm getting in bulk if it weren't for you guys. You guys are hitting me up like, oh, hey, I have, such and such pair, like the Awakes, for example.
Yeah.
If it weren't for you guys, I would not have been able to get the amount of pairs that I got in bulk that I did. And, you know, those Awakes are so lucrative right now.
Yeah.
So, again, one of those, early pairs, when you flip them early, making good money. Now they're going for a little less than they were at the time, but I mean, they're still going for good money.
Yeah.
So
It's
it makes a huge difference working one on one with you. If not just for um, the accountability, but also, like I mentioned, being able to get certain kicks that would be difficult to get on your own.
Yeah. And one thing I noticed from you, Noah, since we started working, with, me, you, and the team, is that you is, like I said, accountability. Like you're building your social media, you're building your book of business. We're going to talk about that. Like you have so much momentum, being able to work with us. And I just see you continue to progress and grow, which is so happy. I'm so happy for that. So
Thank you,
give
brother.
me kind of, your strategy, because here's the thing. This is the misnomer, or, if you don't know what misnomer means, audience, that's just the what people typically think is that I need to sell on StockX and Gold, and they take the lazy route. Again, it's good to sell on those apps, but when you're able to build a book of business, what that means is just people that buy from you directly, you're able to make more money because these apps are taking 13% of that profit margin, when they take the fee. So give us some a mindset on building a book of business. You're getting referrals. You're doing a phenomenal job with there. People in your job are buying from you. Like there's a whole snowball. And I know I said nurse, X-ray
Yeah,
tech, the top X-ray tech, there. And we're gonna speak about that later because I want to give the viewers like some context. Like you're a busy guy. Like you got a big time
yeah,
job. How you're able to still resell at a very high level. So give us a perspective on how you've been able to build a book of business that has accelerated your profit margin. Noah.
definitely. So, in terms of building a book of business, that's another thing that I learned from you guys that is key. There's nothing wrong with selling on StockX, Alias, Go, Flight Club, all those other platforms, Poison. I use them too. However, you can't make the same amount of profit margins as you can if you're selling in person. I've been utilizing my social media, like you mentioned, to grow my business. I have somebody actually that's interested in a pair that I have right now that I'm trying to get another pair for so that I can sell as a, like two or three clip at the same time. Um, and then in terms of my job, I've sold to like between 5 and 10 people, and I have another pair actually that I have to bring to somebody else tomorrow for my job. So I've been using my job as a means to grow my business too. Um, Anybody that mentions like, oh, I'm looking for such and such kick, I'll be like, oh, I got you. Like I can get that for you for, a lot cheaper than you probably can from, wherever you're looking.
Yeah.
So, even if it's something that I don't have on hand, I can ask, the team, ask you guys if you guys have. If anybody has, then I'll get from you guys. If not, then I'll source from elsewhere, using coupons or something. That way I can get them cheaper than, they would pay elsewhere, and I can still make that profit.
Yeah.
I've also been utilizing eBay to build my book of business. So if I get somebody from eBay that buys from me, I'll put my business card in there, and then most of the time they'll follow me on Instagram and they'll tell me, hey, I got this pair off you on eBay. Um, you know, good looking out, whatever. So I'll use that. Next time I get another pair that's similar, I'll be like, hey, I just got, so for example, somebody bought off me the Fire Reds. Somebody else bought the Awakes, the Pink Awakes, the Arctic Pinks. Both those people I reached out to, and I'm like, hey, I have the Tokyos if you're interested. Both of them were interested. So if it weren't for that, I wouldn't have had those clients in my book of business. I wouldn't have been able to make those sales.
Yeah.
So it
So
makes a
good.
big difference having that book of business.
So good, Noah. And that's what I'm so proud of you because again, you started off, you started to get some sales and stuff like that. But then when we started working together, that's where I saw an explosion with everything. And again, it's just that accountability really moving forward. But now I want to talk about time wise because you're a busy individual. Again, you're the head technician tech. You have to manage other people. Like this is not a job at Chipotle. This is a big time job.
Yeah.
So how are you able to still resell at the level that you're reselling while you have a full-time job and a lot of responsibility? How are you able to kind of prioritize reselling with what you got going on?
So it is tough because, as you said, my job is very time consuming. If I'm not, reprimanding somebody or, trying to guide somebody on what to do, I'm doing interviews, almost on a daily basis. Right now, especially, we're looking for techs for like 3 or 4 sites. So I'm doing interviews like 3 or 4 every day. So it's very busy. And not only am I, so yeah, so I'll be doing interviews on a daily basis. Not only interviews, but, reprimanding techs or helping them figure out how to do certain things. Not only that, but I'm actually working as a tech on a daily basis. So I'll be taking x-rays of patients, taking patients in. Um, I could see anywhere from, I don't know, 10 to 20 a day. So I'm constantly on the move, constantly doing stuff. So the way I make time for the business is whether it's between those times when I have time, like downtime, I'll check the university or I'll check the market to see, how things are fluctuating or what's hot, what I can buy to flip, stuff like that. Or just at the end of the day, before I go to bed after work, I'll make time like, half an hour to an hour, whether it's something I gotta adjust with my book of business or anything like that, anything I have to do related to the business. So I just do what I can to kind of fill whatever downtime I have with time to um, do stuff for the business.
Yeah, that's good. And that's critical that with the viewers that's watching, there's a lot of people that have a ton of success and that have busy careers. Reasoning wise, because they're able to prioritize with the time that they have to grow their business. Sneaker reselling doesn't take a lot of time. However, it does take intentional time. So,
Absolutely.
you hearing Noah's schedule and him, being a top guy in the medical industry and still being able to build a good business, a great business is because he's able to prioritize the time where he's not doing anything to kind of go, go move
Yep.
forward. That's what is called systems, in your life, which is very critical. So, you talked about buying sneakers in bulk. I want you to talk a little bit more about that because, again, the only way you can scale your company is starting to get more sneakers. So, I know you talked about the weights, you talked about, the fire reds. What is
Hmm.
the benefit? Because when somebody is newer, again, don't buy 100 pairs. You don't know what the heck you're doing. You don't
Yeah,
know
no,
the analytics.
it's
But
not
what
smart.
advice you have for people that want to start buying bulk? What advice you have for them?
So my advice would be to watch the market and really see what pairs are going to be lucrative.
Yeah.
Um, for example, right now would not be the time, since I used the fire reds as an example before. Right now would not be the time to buy them in bulk. It's just
Right.
they're yeah, they're selling right now, but the profit margin is not enough for it to make sense.
Right.
A month, 2 months, 3 months ago, that was the time,
Yeah.
because that's when you're going to sell them for double, triple the price. So
Yeah.
that's when it makes the most sense. So really kind of knowing the market and knowing what pairs are going to like actually be lucrative at the time that you buy them, that is the biggest thing.
Yeah, timing. Again,
Yeah.
you got to understand the timing because that plays a big role into sneakers. And it's a very simple business, but you got to
Yep.
be intentional or you're going to make mistakes, especially with bulk, which is huge. So Noah, you have been reselling, for some time. You're starting to gain momentum. You're starting to have some consistency. So
Hmm.
what are some advice you would give to a new reseller that's starting completely brand new? Again, you have worked with me directly, so you've seen a lot of insight with us having those conversations. But from
Hmm.
your perspective, what advice would you give a new reseller that wants to start building momentum of having a business that can make them money? What are some advice you can give to that person right there?
Yeah, definitely. So, one of the things would be like what we keep mentioning is that early is key. That I think is a huge thing to know as a new reseller. Also, checking the analytics. You got to pay attention to those analytics. There's certain pairs that wouldn't really be smart to resell if you can't get them for a low enough price. Um, but you also have to know what's selling. For example, Dornbecker sixes, right? That's a pair that is a high ticket pair. They're going for a lot of money. Um, but right now, if you check the market, they're not really selling that much.
Right.
So, yeah, you can make a lot of money with them if you get them for the right price, but you need to be able to find somebody to sell them to actually make money.
Yeah.
So, my advice is starting with pairs that you know are selling by using StockX, and Alias in different platforms, Poison, to check the analytics and see what is selling. Now, that doesn't mean that if you get a pair, like I'll use that same example, Dornbecker sixes, it doesn't mean you're not going to make money. You're not going to find somebody in a week that'll want them, but chances are not as high as something like, let's say, the Awake Fives that just recently came out.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to want those over the sixes in a faster time frame. So you'll be more likely to sell them quicker and improve your chances of like putting that money back in the business. And that's the key too. Selling them as quickly as you can because you want to put the money back into the business so that you can buy more pairs and keep flipping them. That's the goal. The whole goal of this game is to just keep buying and selling as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Obviously, some pairs that you may want to hold on to, like collector's items, like I'll just mention what I just mentioned, the Dornbecker sixes, like something like that. But for the most part, you just gotta flip, flip, flip.
Yeah. And you mentioned something very critical there, talking about reinvesting back in your business. Because if you make money in your business and you just spend it on, sneakers for yourself and you're taking the money that's allowing you to scale. So it's
Yeah,
about business owner mentality. If you want to make this as a business, you got to think like a business owner.
absolutely.
Yeah, which is huge, man. Business ownership is huge. Now going into Q4, this is going to be, one of my final questions. No, now going into Q4. Again, this is the craziest time with sneaker reselling because there's so many buyers regarding Christmas, the holidays. We got a lot of stuff coming up as well. So you knowing that now and you having this knowledge because last year you didn't know this stuff, but now
Nope.
you knowing, kind of the foundation. You built the foundation for your business. What are you excited for in Q4 and what are some things you feel like are gonna explode for you during that period of time?
So I would say that I'm the most excited for the fact that I know that sales are going to amp up.
Yeah,
So I'm trying to stack up my money and just trying to flip the remaining pairs that I have left so that I can buy more pairs of, let's say, the Gammas that are coming out soon,
yeah,
because those are going to sell like hotcakes.
yeah,
Something like the Rare Airs, where they're coming out and they're gonna sell. I personally don't think that they're gonna be as lucrative as the
Right.
gammas, even though
Absolutely.
it's at this point it's still early.
Yeah.
It's just the gammas are just the gammas.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward the most to that amount of sales that I can get. I'm trying to see how many sales that I can get in Q4 as compared to the whole rest of the year.
Yeah, and people don't understand this. There's a lot of businesses like their Q4 sales exceeds their entire, Q1, Q2,
Yep.
and Q3. So it's just an opportunity. There's an opportunity cost of not knowing. But now you have the knowledge and the resources. Now this Q4 you going in is going to be an explosion with everything that's going on. But Noah, super proud of you, man. Again, I've seen so much progression with you. You've been continued to, hit the ball out the park, and it's only going to be progression. I appreciate you, kind of, speaking to the viewers, giving them some advice, with, kind of weird progression with reselling. And the sky is the limit because it's just getting better as you start to progress and learn more and continue to, put the foot on the pedal. So appreciate you, brother, man. No, give everybody your
Was
IG so we can have them follow you on this call right here. Give everybody your IG.
yes, my Instagram is Kicks Classified. That's my company. My reseller company is Kicks Classified. It's my LLC. So you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok at Kicks Classified.
And you heard him, his company. Again, there's a different mindset. Business,
Sure.
that's his company. So man, appreciate you, Noah. Again, we'll talk to you soon. Let's keep going again. Head down and keep pushing forward, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Anytime. See you soon, brother. Bye.
See ya.
Man, such great mindset from Noah. So proud of him because he's been able to prioritize sneaker reselling and be able to grow his business even though he is super busy. Again, guys, sneaker reselling is very simple. Make sure you're at the free live training that is going down. Link is in the description section, sniperkicks.info. Register now, man. It is going down. Q4 is here. Let's go. Let's make money. See you there.